founder and principal designer, The Lighter Mumbai. I welcome you all to the next session of the lockdown series called The Design Dialogue. Thank you, Nisha, for
Thank you.
joining us. It is a pleasure to have you today. Though you don't need any introduction, but I will be delighted to go through a short profile here and talk about your achievements if you give me a permission.
Definitely.
Thank you. Nisha's work in branding, luxury, social causes, interior architecture, and design seamlessly, converting her passion for the creative and visual arts into her work where all synergize seamlessly. She authors 6 columns for international and Indian publications as well as Thus Television. In Nisha, you find adversity has become an ally, where her inspiring story even drew the attention of the international best-selling author Lord Jeffrey Chaucer, so that he has chronicled her life story in And Thereby Hangs a Tale by her real name. Nisha is an equal rights activist working with the Indian government to create accessibility and also a craft crusader for our traditional heritage. She has authored 2 books on traditional Indian craft as well. Renowned columnist, writer, author, she is a multifaceted personality, not restricted by walls that divide the arts. She seamlessly works in the worlds of fashion, architecture, in traditional Indian crafts, heritage, and education, enjoying every facet of her work and creative life. Nisha's enduring passion is towards education, development of underprivileged children, and to promote adoption as well as literacy for underprivileged children in Orissa.
Thank you.
She's seen as one of the most important influencers whose social media following is very impactful with not only the Indian public but also internationally. She is able to subliminally generate traffic and eyeballs towards a brand with a social media presence and influence. Nisha's blog archives in Business India, Asian Age, You Think, Good Homes, Grazia, L'Officiale, columns and articles. Thank you so much, Nisha, for joining us today. It's a great, great pleasure, and we're very excited to have
Thank
us
you.
with today on the series of Design Dialogue. So, Nisha, I would like to know,
Thank you.
tell us about your personal journey from being a brand columnist to interiors architect, an author, a TV anchor, luxury consultant, and a social thinker. Wearing so many hats together, what is it that inspires you every day to keep and fulfilling all the roles so beautifully and brilliantly?
Thank you, Surbhi. Firstly, thank you for initiating this. But for you, I would not be doing this talk. And but for you, I wouldn't be seeing and meeting all my wonderful friends. I have a few school friends here. I have friends from Lavasa, where I have a beautiful villa. So we are like a family in Lavasa. I have friends who I've made, you won't believe, Surbhi, in the COVID period, and very close friends, not, fleeting acquaintances. So thank you for bringing us all together in this platform. I want to say how grateful I am to see all of you here today. Surbhi, my first attribute would be to parents who never bridled all my dreams. Traditionally, a child is pushed into one vocation and told to follow one path. Whereas my parents gave me a lot of freedom. And when I was hardly 3, I was allowed to take crayons and paint on my walls. So the restrictions were very few, but the freedom and the dreams were so many that while I have studied interiors architecture, space planning, and art criticism and art history in Long Beach in California, I diversified into television, endorsements, brand, and even modeling. It was then that when I was modeling for one of the top-notch brands of the world, that the CEO said to me that you're so versatile in terms of your opinions. Why don't you come on board as a brand architect? He said, Surbhi. And wow. I said to him that I know nothing about branding. So he said, you know, Much, you come on board. And I came on board as the endorsement. I mean, I was not only endorsing Bailey's Irish Cream. I came on board with Diageo as a brand consultant. That was my first foray into luxury and branding. And there's been no looking back. In the course of life, I've also done a few vignettes for Madhur Bhandarkar, due to which I did television. I anchored a lot of shows. I'm still, going to do Home Shanti Home, walking into celebrity homes unscripted and chatting with them about design. And of course, craft and special rights, equal rights have been a passion. So this is the, in a short, in a short cut way, I wanted to elucidate why my life has taken on so many journeys.
Wow.
Recently, in a TV interview, I was asked that, you know, how come you did so many things? Didn't you feel that it would wane one of your careers? To that, I have to say that life for me is not proving points, and it's not about fame or fortune. For me, it is only the journey. It's about enjoying the moment and having a blast. I'm really not looking for, a great obituary or a great, somebody giving me accolades. So long as I'm enjoying design, I'm enjoying writing, which I must say is my greatest passion. I'm enjoying painting and I'm enjoying television. So it doesn't matter what people or what the world thinks.
That's a beautiful journey, Nisha. And we would also like to know about your brand, the brand Nisha Jamwal Luxury, that spans in interiors as well as lifestyle, along with fashion, creating intense interest, new trends, and a huge fan following. It has spread its wings not only in India but internationally as well. So please tell us about the success of the brand Nisha Jamwal as well as challenges faced in this VUCA world.
Surbi, I think the success would be primarily because the first few projects that I got when I came back to India, I set up Nisha Jamwal Design, which is my design arm of my, it's the vertical that handles design. So when I set it up, one of the first homes I did was Lisa Ray, and the second home I did was Zeenat Aman. I also did Jaipur Airport. And when they asked me what I would charge, I said nothing. I won't charge you. I'll just do it because I was so happy to get projects as a young newcomer that money didn't figure in my scheme of things. And I'd say that the fact that I did it in a more, in fact, a friend I was chatting with today, Gopal, said to me that, you know, when you do things without monetary concerns, success comes automatically. So
Right.
perhaps he is right, you know, because I've never thought of it. But yes, success came to me overnight. And around this time, Midday interviewed me, and they wanted to know how I designed my own home. They did a shoot with me. And she said, you know, you're saying it so beautifully. Why don't you write the article? And that got me my first column in Bombay in Midday. I got the center spread. So I was hardly 3 months old in Bombay, fresh from LA, that I was already writing my
Wow.
first column. And then Shekhar Gupta gave me another column in Indian Express. So around that time, I had some very great challenges in my personal life. But let's just say that there were great highs and there were great lows. There was a price to be paid, but there was also a lot of success, a lot of accolades, a lot of money came my way. And there's been no looking back, Surbi.
That's great. Actually, this is a very inspiring journey, Nisha. Now, I would like to quickly come on to the unprecedented situation that we are facing caused due to COVID-19 now. So, if you see, none of the present generations and even couple of generations before us have ever seen such times where majority of countries across the globe have announced lockdown, and because of which we are seeing massive disruption both economically as
Yes.
well as socially. So there is a super slowdown in the entire real estate as well as construction industry, on infrastructure and operations at large, if we see. So what obstacles did you see when you encountered first, and how have you adjusted as well as coping with the same? Do you also think it's a reset button?
I definitely think it's a reset button to rethink our lives. I think it's a move towards austerity, towards the ability to say no to oneself, to all the entitled people, and to humankind as a whole that feels they own the earth. Somebody recently said in the news that the virus is actually human beings. So while I don't conform to the view of population control through a virus, of course, that may also be a
Right,
conspiracy theory. I
right,
definitely feel that it's very wrong of human beings to usurp every ocean, every land, habitat, take away natural habitats of animals, bring down biodiversity, the ice caps that are melting way before environmentalists predicted it. So, yes, I feel it's a reset button. As for me coping, I'm having a beautiful therapeutic time. I've been working since the age of 17. I have never taken a sabbatical. I am a workaholic, and I personally needed to slow down. I needed to see some of the box sets I'd saved up for that one day, which may never come. It's a reset button to write my own story. I've been commissioned by one of the big publishers. We are still signing on the dotted line, but it's time to start my own story. Survey, this entire debacle of the COVID running down on coming down on us so hard, also shows me the temporal nature of life. You see the way Irfan
right.
Khan and Rishi Kapoor have gone in a flash. Who knows
Yeah.
if even we survive this?
What's
There's no
next?
telling.
Yeah,
Because earlier they had said little children and
absolutely.
sports people don't get corona. But now it's even been proven that healthy people can die of coronavirus. So how do we know how long we stay? So it's very important to enjoy the moment. It's very important to slow down. And if you were to ask me personally, I'm in touch with a lot of my friends. I'm getting time with my family. I'm spending time painting with my parents. I'm really happy to be rebooting my own life personally. And then there are people like you, or like another beloved
Thank you.
friend, Smita, who have been doing poetry readings on an international forum with me. I
Wonderful.
think it's time to reflect. I think it's time to understand that I hope when this ends, and I hope it ends, I hope human beings don't go back to ravaging animals and trees and the environment. That's my only prayer right now.
Absolutely, Nisha. So, Nisha, coming from the interior sector and the design industry, so we see the nature of many of our professions to conduct businesses and services in close proximity demands us to be confined to our homes and neighborhoods for indefinite period of time, resulting in self-isolation as well as or quarantine. So, what does this mean to the design bend the traditional meaning of our homes? What are the major social factors that will luxury interiors, if we talk about?
Okay, so just addressing interiors, like you said, I think this is going to be a bit of a long-term thing until we accomplish immunity of some sort. Even if the vaccine were to come out in September as predicted, even then I see at least a year or a year and a half for people to get out and start socializing again, if at all.
Right.
So the most important thing is to create a home, to have a space where you can work. And if you are married and have a spouse, then to create two different cubicles within the same space. The answer to me would also be that, oh, we don't have an extra room. So then I'd say
Right.
section off part of your living room, have a
Right.
desk, have a place where you can go to. I don't recommend that you sit from your bedroom or your bed in your pajamas or your nightie and work. I recommend that you get up, have a bath, change, wear some perfume, and go and sit at a stipulated place to feel energized, to feel normal. Because while it hasn't happened to me, currently I am counseling a lot of people who are suffering from anxiety and stress. Luckily for me, I have friends I get up and talk to on chat. I'm not a very phone person. There are people, there's another person on this chat called Abhishek. He and I are creating a garden and an alcove, a street, an avenue in Lavasa. So there's a lot going on in my life. But for all people who are doing desk jobs or who are confined to their homes at a desk job, I highly recommend that you have a delineated private space in your home where you have a home office, where you're technologically connected to your work and your friends, having a
Absolutely. Right.
drink on Zoom with your friends or a Zoom birthday party. A little bit of social contact, work, regimen, neatness, discipline, hygiene. These are going to become very important parts of our lives. And if you were to ask me personally about my own design career, I want to say, Surbi, I want to quote Farah Khan, who's a friend, the film director,
Yeah.
that this is not a party. This is not, the time to be brandishing photographs of food and drink on social media. It is somewhat a time
Absolutely.
of mourning. There are body bags being buried all over the world. People are losing parents and children. It's not the time to be reveling insensitively on social media. So what I'm trying to say is if we can do things, altruistically, a lot of people are doing things free. We don't have to be so mercenary that when humankind is not earning well, things are very stressful. I'm doing design online. So anyone who's asking me for tips, who's asking me how to make offices, my job has not been affected at all because design continues online, and design was always easy to do online. The only difference is I'm not charging. I was anyway very bad at charging. I'm not very focused on the money, the money aspect. Luckily, people have been indulgent, but in this time, I absolutely refuse to accept any form of money for anything that I do. I think all people must come out and, whether it's a yoga video, whether it's anti-stress counseling by doctors, I think everyone must come and do their little part towards humanity right now.
Very well said, Nisha. So you suggest space going ahead in our houses, in our homes,
Yes,
a private
absolutely.
space where we an office, right?
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
neat and tidy, bathe in the morning and go to your space, and then follow the schedule the way we follow in an office.
And have a timetable that would keep the sanity for you.
Absolutely, that basic hygiene is very important.
Yes.
Lovely. So, one more thing, with firms facing uncertainty, what does this mean for the future of interior design practices? What are a few ways that we can reevaluate our approach to this economic phase or the economic pause, what we see? And especially, what do you advise to smaller businesses or architects, mid-sized firms in the terms of financial growth of business as well as the fund flows? What, in your view, is the future of remote work beyond the pandemic crisis? And as you have already answered, yes, interiors has got work from home culture. So we would really like to understand, what do you advise to smaller firms or mid-sized firms, architectural firms?
I recommend that the business models would have to be tweaked. I also recommend that customer engagement, conversations, podcasts, there are different ways of engaging with your end
Yeah,
customer and consumer. I also suggest that if,
right.
people have their basics in place, a home, a roof, food, I again reiterate that don't think of money right now. There's a film star who's doing some videos and is charging for them, and somebody
Mm-hmm.
wrote on her feed that at this time
Mm-hmm.
also, why do you have to charge? But if
Mm-hmm.
you are dependent on that paycheck, I suggest
Yeah,
that you continue with your computer design. To get
yeah,
blueprints and to get floor plans on the internet is not at all difficult. I also
yeah,
recommend in terms of luxury that when
yes,
your customer engagement came very strongly with expositions, fashion weeks. I suggest that you take different forms of customer engagement and go forward. At this moment, social interaction, meetings I don't see it being possible. And I also don't think that in the name and the excuses of business, you go and jeopardize and endanger yourself and other people. Because, you may be very devoted to your job, but remember that if you don't exist, what is the point of the job? And
Absolutely.
this is a very, very temperamental virus. One never knows who it's going to affect. Also, totally digressing from what you asked me, I think I think there is a very temporal nature to life. And if you can do all the things that make you happy and tell all the people you love that you do love them, because time is short, and I don't know who and how we are going to move forward. So keep that in mind. I mean, one should never be too sure about the future, isn't it?
Absolutely. It should be like the way it comes, and you should give your best, in whatever situation or in
Absolutely.
whatever circumstances one is. One should give the best. That's what my perspective is. And that is the one of the reasons we started this series as well, called the Design Dialogue, so that we can connect the influencers or, architects, top architects from the country, to really understand how, architects are the builders of the country, right? So how do we actually take this up?
Yes.
How do we, perceive the whole situation post the lockdown?
I think as far as
Yeah,
design goes, if you remember the existential period and the philosophers like
yeah,
Sartre, Nietzsche, Descartes, you remember the dark phase that the world went through in
absolutely.
existentialism,
Yeah,
and you know how it
yeah,
impacted poetry, literature, design, music.
yeah,
I see a similar phase right now. I see
yeah,
the elements of excess, of bling belts, the last belt that Gucci came out with Swarovski stones. It was huge. It was probably 6 inches.
yeah,
That
yeah,
it's nearly a metaphor for excess, that belt. It's going to be an
yeah,
absolute reverse, in my opinion. There will be more somber colors. There are going to
mhm,
be, there's going to be a lot of disapproval for um, too much excess. Bling is going to be completely out. There's going to be a need for understatement, for a little bit of sensitivity to what the world is
yeah,
going through. And the way it's
right,
going to impact luxury and design is going to be that you have to probably look at design in the same mood as the monsoon colors, slightly more temperate and slightly more understated.
right,
Having said which, in terms of business, you'll be surprised to know that Tata Click has recorded a huge, an influx of orders of jewelry, surprisingly. So one can't really predict. I mean, what are these people going to buy jewelry? But you do know that retail therapy is one of the best therapies. So, there was a wave in luxury. There was the experiential culture which came with the millennials, where they wanted to travel, and all the
yeah,
desire to access goods and to buy had gone with the generation of our parents. And our generation is
right,
looking at travel and music and skiing and doing things rather than accumulating things. But there's been a wave which is coming back to accumulation of goods. So at this moment, when people are locked
right,
down at home, apparently a lot of us in luxury have seen a wave of purchasing things, accumulating things, buying different kinds, not only restricted to food, because there is probably that level of insecurity and that level of, the ephemeral nature of life. So I see that impacting luxury, design, and also purchase.
right. So going ahead, minimalism, I would use the word minimalistic for that, and be more sensitive towards each and every aspect of life.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. So, Nisha, we are all aware of the situation of migrant workers in our country. So how do you see the manpower
Yes.
challenge on site or even off site post the lockdown, and projects that are on complete standstill since last few months? How will they kickstart again? What will be their kickstart?
So you remember when we went to college, all of us, there was something very famous, even now, it's called a gap year. A lot of us never took a
Yeah,
gap year.
yeah,
Now, the fact of the matter is that social interaction and large gatherings are going to have huge restrictions for some
yeah,
time to come. I can't predict whether it
absolutely.
will be 6 months or a year. A report. So I think we pretty much have to see the writing on the wall and be very realistic about restarting projects. As far as development projects go, how is labor going to do complete projects with social distancing? One has to look at life anew, like you said right at the outset, should be the onset, the reset button.
Yeah,
So this is a new age and a new time. It is we are living history. Please
yeah,
remember that it is a very, very important time in human
important.
history. So how we approach it is by adapting and by changing the rules of the game. So work culture will also change, and perhaps a lot of businesses may
Absolutely.
have to, hold back for that gap year, which I mentioned, for 1 year. Or maybe they may have to shut down. Now, AD Singh has shut down Olive on the first day of the
Yeah.
first lockdown. So probably he saw this coming. And when I saw this on the morning, was it 21st? I don't remember, 20th or 21st of March. I was, I hadn't felt a sense
Shocking.
of
Yeah,
doom. I felt a
yeah,
sense of, my heart sank when I saw the message by him saying, this is, it's been really good and I love all my people. And I had to stop myself from calling him because I didn't want to hear it from him. So,
yeah.
I mean, if he had that foresight, I think all businesses have to be a little detached right now and understand that there are certain businesses that will not be able to reopen until this is over. So I think the smart
Yeah.
ones like AD will definitely take that initiative and regroup and replan and go with the now. What works now?
Yeah.
Online ordering,
What works now? Exactly.
TV dinners and meals.
Absolutely.
Lots of people are suffering paucity of staff. So how up, maybe robos to clean the house. You have these little things. I think they're called I forget what it's called, but I have one. It just walks around the house
Yeah.
and sweeps the
Yeah.
entire house.
Yes.
It's this little
It's a
round
little
R2D2 kind
equipment.
of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's
So
called Zoho or
basically, go
something
with
like
the
that.
flow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
Human
basically, it
beings
says go with the
are a
flow.
hugely
Yeah.
adaptive people. Yeah. We
Yes.
have to adapt.
See, there's a huge impact globally on developed countries like the US or the UK. So, what do you see as the effect on the line of luxury interiors? Will it affect the selection process, and will it see the challenge in imports too? Or is there a new normal that we can see going ahead?
Well, Sulbi, I think that there will be a sort of technological way out. Things are already being planned as we speak.
Yeah.
There are even drones which do delivery in some cases, as delivery and imports in terms of liquor, furniture, design, luxury products. I think we are going to learn much more about hygiene and contamination and how to receive online packages and how to disinfect them before we receive them. So
Right.
definitely, I don't think that it's going to stop or abort. I think it's just going to change the way we deal with ordering and receiving imports. I think the world
Absolutely.
needs to, one thing which has come across very clearly is that humanity is one whole. There is no such thing as an Englishman or a Muslim or a Hindu. We are all fighting this as one people. And if you get COVID and you touch me, I get it. So we have to help each other. And so the
Right.
world has to come together, even in something as commercial as imports and exports. and try and help each other commercially to run businesses as a whole, not as separate countries.
Right.
You know,
Correct.
humanity has to come through for each other, even in terms of business.
Absolutely. We should work in
Is my
sync with
point.
each other. Yeah. Yeah. It should be a collaborative walking and not just an
Yes.
isolated walking.
And we have a lot of technology going for us.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
So
no
while
doubt about that.
technology hasn't combated something as horrific as the virus, it
Yeah.
definitely can help us in dealing with the virus,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
True. Completely agree to your point. Yeah. So, can we open the session for Q&A from the audience as well now?
Please.
Yeah. What
I would love
I
that.
the audience to put your question on the chat box. We already have a couple of questions. So Shrikant is asking about what changes will be expected in design after the lockdown opens.
Sorry, what does she ask?
Yeah, so Shrikant is asking about what changes will be expected in design after the lockdown opens. So basically, his question is, what is the design change we can expect after the lockdown opens?
So Shrikant, just before answering Shrikant, I want to say hello to all my friends here, Ashish Srivastav, Gopal, Shirley Swaroop, Tina, Aarti Sareen, thank you for coming back, Parul Khandelwal, all my Rekha Nigam, thank you for being there with me. Amitabh, I don't see you, Mayuri, Abhishek, Adesh Narayan, my school friend, Ramesh, Priyanshu, all of you, a warm Yogendra from Bangalore, thank you. Carola from London. Carola, I'm delighted. Renuka, Dheera, Jopat, all of you, thank you for coming. And just quickly, Shrikant. Shrikant, like I said earlier, for me, this is more about how design is impacted in a more where humankind is seeing a very somber moment of our lives. It is nearly like the existential phase where design has colors in a cruise, dun, teals, the colors of the sea, the colors of the sky. I don't see design going very bright and neon. I think that period is off. I don't think it's about minimalism at all. In fact, it's about cushioning and
Right.
comfort because you need comfort right now. You know, human beings, a lot of human beings are feeling severe anxiety. So drapery, cushions, a lot of, you know, uh, comfort in your home. Your home is where you're going to be stuck. So at this moment, no one is thinking about design only as design. They're thinking of comfort and functionality because also about space, Surbi and Shrikant. Very important. Where you
Yes.
went to work, where your husband went to work, where your parents went out, you know, to do their own stuff. Today, everyone's in one home together. So you are looking also at creating space, for creating a little bit of privacy, for creating nooks. So each one in their house, in the house, finds their own nook and creates a space which is comfortable for him. So there will be a little bit of sacrifice of the perfect interior over comfort and coexistence. Does that answer you,
Perfect.
Shrikant? I hope. So are we going to be able to hear the people or they're going to send in
So they're
questions on
actually
chat?
sending the questions on the chat box because
Okay.
there are a lot many participants. So it will be difficult for, if I
Okay.
unmute everybody. So I'm reading out the questions to you. Next question is from Priyanshi Hiran.
Yes.
She's asking, what will be the effect of post-lockdown on students who just graduated out in the commercial world and just realize that there is no place for them as already existing commercial sectors are facing issues within themselves. So how do we as the upcoming generation or the youth, react to this?
Um, I think you're asking me about students who are ready to work and have just
Yeah.
passed out,
So
right?
they're like freshers who have just graduated, and there are companies who are actually not hiring now. and in fact, there are pay cuts or job cuts or layoffs for that matter. So, what do you suggest for the students who have just passed out or graduated?
Well, they can look at opportunities online. They can start a blog. They can start becoming influencers. They can look at jobs online. I'm quite certain that a lot of jobs are going to come online now.
Yeah,
And there's going to be, this is just it's very nascent. We are hardly 2 months away from the start of the virus. So I look at new opportunities and a new world order. So definitely, I see people who are going to change the norm of going to an office. In fact, Surbi, I recently commented on a TV interview that even if things ever settle down and come back to
yeah,
everyone, to social interaction and to large gatherings, I feel a lot of people are going to opt to work from home and give up rents and large office spaces, because this is going to become something that people begin to enjoy. I mean, they may enjoy the period of working from home and going out just for meetings. So
absolutely. Yeah.
so I'm also trying to read messages while they come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we are getting a lot of messages and questions.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so
Rajesh
glad to get.
Premani, welcome.
Yeah.
So happy to have you, Rajesh. And
Rajesh. Yeah.
yeah, and Joy Bhattacharya, Skylark Automation. I'm just trying to acknowledge everyone, all the
Yeah.
friends who've taken time to come here. If I missed anyone, I'm really sorry. Nikhil, thank you.
Rajesh
Surbi,
Bhaktani is also here. He's
thank you,
worked
Rajesh,
with
for
Indian
coming.
Express. He's worked with Indian Express.
Thank you so much.
So
Shiv, my
basically,
school friend Shiv is here. Shiv Mattu. Thank you, Shiv, for being with me today. Surbi, you were asking. My apologies.
yeah, no worries. So basically, you suggest them to also upskill and look into various fields and not just confined to what they have graduated in.
I'm looking at not only students but adults, grown-ups, writers, everyone in the world
Everyone.
to be
Yeah. Yeah.
adaptive, to see how you can make yourself useful, to see
Yeah.
how you can be more philanthropic and think of humanity as a whole. If you don't need that paycheck at the end of every month, please go out and help feed the homeless, or at least contribute to feed the homeless. Any charity you want, just pick it up and help, or up your own. Help with hygiene. The
Yeah.
lower strata of the underprivileged people don't know about hygiene even now.
Yeah.
Educate people, have little podcasts, uh, and a lot of people, the youngsters passing out from college, do a lot of online work, online designing, online writing, online webinars where you can charge, because you as youngsters need the money, you need the motivation. And I mean, something as simple as somebody's just started making what do you call it, what's the word I'm looking for, um, couples meet on the net. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
matchmaking, I'm sorry,
Matchmaking.
I
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
blind moment there. So matchmaking. So
Matchmaking. Yeah.
it's about innovation. Just because you studied
Yes.
to be an engineer doesn't
Doesn't
mean
mean
you
you
have to
need
be an
to
engineer,
practice engineering. Yeah.
yeah.
Correct. Absolutely.
So I didn't
Absolutely.
study at all. When I told Prahlad Kakkar that, look, I've never studied to be a brand consultant, he said, nor have I, because I was just about to go on stage and give a 1 hour talk on branding, and I was nervous. And he said, just go out there and kill it. Just talk about your experiences. So I'd say that you just adapt. I mean, I'm today a full-fledged luxury consultant, and I've never studied it. So I think this is a beautiful moment to reinvent yourself, people. So I think just don't be depressed and stuck in your groove. That, oh my God, I used to
Absolutely.
do this and now I can't do it. Just do something
Correct.
else.
Correct. One has to really evolve each
One
and
last thing, I have to tell you, this is a great time to study.
yeah.
So if you want to study something, I'm studying Egyptology, by the way, and I'm studying the harmonium. I'm a terrible singer, but I'm trying. because no one's going to, worry in my isolation about hearing me. So, so this is a great time to study. It's a gift.
Wonderful. Absolutely. I think one really needs to evolve as the time comes, or go with the flow again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Tina is mentioning that her family and herself, they are actually installing sanitizing machines in gurudwaras.
Oh, wow.
So that is one of the aspects. Yeah. So that is one of the aspects she wants to talk about. While designing a particular worship place.
I see.
Sanitizing. Installing sanitizing machines, or in fact, booths at the entrance of a worship place.
Right.
Yeah, so that
So,
was
so
she
Tina,
was
that
so yeah.
congratulations. That's a beautiful thing to do at your Gurdwara. The Gurdwaras are doing such fabulous work, and they're feeding so many homeless people. My salutations to all the workers in the Gurdwara, and to you, Tina, for creating sanitizing machines. Very proud of you and very happy to hear about this.
Rajesh Bhaktani has a question for you. He says, how different mindset has to be created to create impact in articles vis-a-vis media interviews or short films. How do you deal with this to have an equal impact in both forms, especially in these tough times? So articles versus media interviews or short films.
So I think whether it's articles or whether it's media interviews, at this time, it's very important for all writers and all amateur writers to deal with the current situation of stress. And I think it's very important for us to quintessentially understand that at this moment we need to um, support people who are unable to cope. So whether it's an article about how to spend time, or whether it's a media interview that brings out nuances of coping or stress. There's one a person who wrote to me at 2 in the morning saying, I want to commit suicide, and I spent 1 hour counseling him. So I think everything we write, everything we do, everything we want to project right now through the media has to be about support, compassion, care, coping, and interdependability. Did I get the
Absolutely.
question right?
Yes, Nisha. Yes. Yeah, that's what his question was. And we have another question by Adesh Narayan. He is asking, would you suggest that it is important to make changes to plans for projects which are still at the early stage or at the conception stage of execution? So, do you need any
Firstly,
changes in the plans?
I want to welcome Adesh. Adesh is my childhood friend from Delhi. Thank you, Adesh, and thank you for this lovely question, and big hug to you. I think definitely projects, clothes, hair, beards, everything needs a revamp. Every project midway and still, ongoing needs to be
On
rethought.
point. Yeah.
Careers need to be rethought. Life needs to be rethought. Relationships, even physical relationships, need to be rethought right now. Um, there's a sea change in life right now. It's the most drastic change since the Spanish flu in 1918.
Yeah.
I don't think life is going to be the same for some time. So, Adesh, I definitely think home offices for me is even more important than a living room right now. Privacy is very important because you don't want to be living in each other's hair and killing each other, whoever you're living with, whether it's parents, whether it's your even just your staff. I mean, if they are stuck with you 24/7, whereas earlier you got out of their hair for a few hours. So I think everyone needs to respect that privacy. Design needs to go through a sea change. And as far as offices, I don't even know if offices are going to be contextual for some time, because I see working from home. So if we Adesh, working from home was already something that was
Which
happening in
is
front
in
of
the
us,
West.
isn't it? And we had WeWork, which was, or
Yeah.
people wanted to give up rents and expensive offices. So I think this is just a precipitation in that direction, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
absolutely. Absolutely, Risha. This is the whole scenario changes accordingly. And I think a couple of IT companies, they have already instructed their staff to work from home for a couple of months.
Yes. Surbhi, I have
Yes.
a request that at the end of this,
Yeah.
can we open up everyone's audio, because I'd like to hear everyone also. Is
Yeah,
that
sure.
possible, please?
I have just one request for you from Rajesh Bhatani to sing a Hindi song as a closing comment. So can we have this special request?
I will call Rajesh Premani privately and sing to him, and I will not terrify. Firstly, I really don't want to, I'm not even an amateur. So please, if I can excuse myself from this, I really, wish I could, but I promise that the next Zoom talk we have, I will learn a song and do the needful. Surbhi.
Surely, Nisha, we'll wait for that eagerly. That day for
Thank
eagerly,
you.
we're gonna wait for that. Now
Thank
we
you
know
so
you're
much.
also learning harmonium and a lot of other equipment. So
Exactly.
definitely,
Exactly.
that's good. So I'll just unmute everybody, and
Please.
if there is any question or if you wanna chat, you can actually
Yes,
chat as
please.
well.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody is on unmute mode.
Thank you so much, Nisha, for your good wishes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being
And it
there.
was really pleasurable to hear you. Such a pleasure to
Thank
hear
you
you.
so
Such a
much.
pleasure.
It's such a
It made
pleasure
so much
for
of a
me.
sense. So made so
It's
much
a real
sense.
pleasure. Yeah. It was a great experience listening to you and your experiences too.
Yes,
I'm so
it is.
privileged to have Rinku. Thanks for being there. Rinku Suri.
What you said about humanity being one, probably the best lesson out of this conversation.
Thank you so much. Somebody has their news
Nice
channel on. Can you
presentation.
please shut the news?
Yeah, someone has got the news channel on. Can you please shut it down?
समझ रहे हैं ना? यहाँ तो कुछ काम भी नहीं है जो पकड़ रहे हैं कुछ काम
Rinku, thank you for coming despite having your yoga
उसके
class.
बताइए
I'm so grateful to see you. You've always been so special.
तो इसमें 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 दो
So
जन
I
Good
just want to
evening. This
thank
is Rajesh here. Thanks for answering my question candidly. I would
thank
eagerly
you
wait
so much.
to hear your song later, as you said, but it's okay. I couldn't figure out to put my name there. It is still coming as Redmi Y2, so I'll
Yeah,
probably
but
figure it out next time.
Thank you
This is
so
Rajesh
much.
here.
yeah.
Thank you, Rajesh. It's such a pleasure to meet you online. Like I said,
Thank
I've
you
made
so
some
much,
very good
ma'am.
friends during this period.
Nisha, next time if you want, I can sing on your behalf a song for.
How sweet of you. Very, very kind. Very kind
Trust me, I
to
have
bail
heard a
out.
few of your friends speak or rather sing a song, Hindi song. So I had the privilege to work with Mr. Shekhar Gupta, Priya Ramani, Samar Hallankar, if you know these
Yes,
people.
I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they are good singers. Trust me.
Thank you. Rinku, it was really lovely to have you. I wish I could have seen your video. And Gopal, I wish I could have seen your video, but y'all are both on, you both shut your video. So I would request you next time to have it on.
Yes, I think Gopal is now online. We can see him here. His video is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to unfortunately wear specs to see. Yes,
So
there
you
you
can
are.
swipe. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm doing. Rinku, I can see you. I'm so happy to see you.
Hi, Nisha.
Hi.
Hi,
Thanks
everyone.
for coming on.
Hi, Gopal.
Such an absolute pleasure. So, Surbhi, I think this is au revoir.
We should wrap up because this was a very
Thank
Talk,
you.
and I shall be posting all these, videos shortly. So stay tuned on my Instagram. Thank you for coming. Love you all, and
Thank you
please
so much,
stay in
Love
ma'am.
you,
touch.
Nisha. Take care. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Nisha.
Thank you,
Yes,
Nisha.
love you.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Nisha,
much.
for joining and wish you a very happy birthday week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wish
That
you a
means
very happy
Happy birthday
birthday.
in
It's a
advance.
great week.
thank you. Thank you so
Happy
much.
birthday, Nisha. We'll miss your
Happy birthday,
celebration
Nisha.
this
When is your
year.
birthday, Nisha, by the way?
May the 2nd.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
Oh, that's nice. Happy
But you
birthday.
can wish me the whole of May.
Sure, sure, definitely. And wishes the entire month.
Yes, please.
Like
We
year,
can send
year.
you gifts by drone.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do
Great
that.
idea, Rekha.
Yes, I would love that. Rinku, thank you so much for your compliments. Mean the world to me. So I'm getting messages simultaneously. Thank you so much, Surbi,
Thank
for this
you.
initiative.
Bye-bye.
You
Thank you,
were
Nisha.
brilliant.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It was great to have you all today for so
thank you,
long.
Surbi. You
Thank
truly
you,
And
meant a
Surbhi,
thank you
for
lot
for
to
your
making
us
this
patience
today.
in
organized.
the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Nisha.
you.
Thanks a ton.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
bye, bye, bye,
Thank
bye.
you.